Ever since the launch of Fortnite Season 3, the Herald's tree was completely gone and 2 sets of Serenade's monoliths just vanished from the island, but why? Serenade was built up to be a key component of last season's storyline, and now that her monoliths are just kinda gone, it seems like there's a lot more going on here than what we first thought. We know that almost all of this ties straight back to water, and more specifically the ability to control and manipulate it. Serenade is said to have some unique abilities with relation to manipulating water in her description, where it talks about her gaining these powers from traveling within the tranquil waters. If the plan was initially to revive the Herald, it would likely have involved regrowing this tree, and Serenade's water abilities could have been used to do this, as the tree's just sort of sat on the island ever since Fracture. But the area that it was once in has now collapsed, and that entire plan has also seemingly folded in on itself, or maybe it's more than that. I think what's most likely going on here is that Serenade and the Last Reality's focus hasn't shifted too much, but rather they're just starting to see things from a much broader perspective as the full picture. Because remember, the island's collapse hasn't only exposed ancient temples, but it's also exposed the 0 point. And by the way, that thing is totally petrified. Quite literally, the current version of the 0 point is codenamed Petrified 0 point in the files, and it's locked away in a shield of indestructible stone. I mean, sure, it is a little bit dramatic, but there's also quite a lot for the 0 point to be afraid of right now. We know that the Last Reality is most definitely returning, and we know that from the Snapshots quest of this season, they also have an artifact in this jungle, which was made by the cubes. This ancient artifact has the ability to level out the entire island, wiping everything off of the surface, but as we are told, without someone to possess its power, it essentially has no value. The first thing that comes to mind is that someone of power in the Last Reality needs to come to the island. That way they can find the temple and activate the chalice. What we also need to consider is that the Last Reality cannot teleport. In previous seasons, they have traveled to us through previously opened rifts, they've flown over with motherships, and they've also had thousands of cubes build up just enough power to crack open the sky, but without our reality, they cannot travel the Omniverse, and that's something very important to remember as we dive into exactly how they will get access to the 0 point and why they need it so badly. Now, just a fair warning, this is all about to get really nerdy, but I mean, you're the one who's just clicked on a Fortnite lore channel, and if you haven't subscribed already, I would recommend that you do so, because things are about to get really complex. As I was just saying before I interrupted, well, myself, the 0 point is the Nothing's Prize, and this theory behind it makes a whole lot of sense. In the Chapter 3 Season 4 trailer, the scientist says this:
"I've never seen such accelerated cytokinesis."
Now, cytokinesis is the process of cell division, which is essentially when a substance duplicates itself, and this can be done over and over again, as we see in the trailer. This is exactly how the chrome can consume and take over things so quickly. When it spills onto one surface, it can grow infinitely. Then that new patch of chrome that was just grown can split off into smaller segments, and those small segments can grow again and spread, and the spread of corruption is just endless. If we look at this quote by the Foundation in the Zero War comics, he tells us that entering the 0 point uncontrolled tears any substance apart at a molecular level. We get a much better look at this in the Batman comics, where Eternal Voyager tries to get back home by entering the 0 point, but what really ends up happening is that his body splits apart into the thousands of realities that the 0 point is cycling through. This theoretically means that if the chrome gets in contact with the 0 point, tiny molecules of it would spread into every reality. From there, those small fragments could expand and duplicate with cytokinesis, ultimately building up massive bodies of chrome in every reality to consume the Omniverse entirely. So that explains why exactly the Herald would need to be revived. She is the Last Reality's warrior of chrome. We know she had a palace made of chrome, a whole nother body made of chrome. Pretty much just everything related to her is made of chrome, and it seems like the Last Reality specifically chose her to harness that ability. She can use the chrome to seep into the 0 point and consume all realities. Now that the 0 point is even closer to us, I believe that Last Reality will try to totally expose it using this chalice artifact, which can supposedly level the entire island. From there, the Herald would be resurrected and her chrome would seep into every single reality. This would eventually totally destroy the Omniverse, and I mean, that still depends on the Last Reality getting to our island, because as I mentioned earlier, this dark artifact that wipes out everything on the island is useless without someone to wield its power, and since the Last Reality can't rift here, they're gonna need a ship, and I mean a massive ship to carry the entire army. A character named Trace is present on the island right now, and he is located just beside a massive telescope that Dr. Slone is building. My guess is that when this is all finished, the telescope will look up into the sky and reveal that the cube cradle is making its way over to the island. That is the massive ship that Last Reality will use to get over here and resurrect the Herald and activate the chalice. But maybe not, who knows? All I know is that the story seems to be getting way better. New characters, map changes, and events are going to build this up to be absolutely amazing. So subscribe to the channel to stay up to date, and I'll see you in the cube cradle.